intriguing, intricate, inspirational, informative, and intelligent topics with our individual twists and talents.
We will present real stories, real solutions, and engage in real talk.
So we invite you to be our company every Sunday afternoon at 3 o'clock p.m. as we focus on transcendent thinking that will move you forward. You become the company you keep.
What company do you keep? Oh yeah, we are biological sisters by way of the south side of Chicago. So get ready to keep company with us and our guests as we talk about it.
Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to Sisters in Company Talking About It live show. It is Sunday, July 22nd, and we are so excited to be here.
Yes, welcome. I am Sherelle Higgins. I am your favorite co-host.
Here she goes. We haven't been here in a while together, so I'm going to let her have that.
Yeah,
okay.
Let me have it. I don't know where you are, but where we are in Washington, D.C., it is pouring down, raining.
It is.
And we came out anyway to make sure that we could do the show and engage with our viewers and also with our special co-host. That we have with us.
Our special co-host is none other than my girl, Deirdre Windsor, and you'll find out very shortly in terms of why I invited her to the show to be a part of this conversation as we discuss politics and voting. Love Deirdre. We have some awesome conversations around those two topics, so just wanted to bring her on while Sherelle and I talk about these two very important topics. As a reminder, we're asking everyone to please log into listenvisionlive.com so that you can see the show in its entirety. And we really will be interested in what you all have to say about the topics that we're going to discuss here today. And so please call 833-202-8255 if you would like to participate. And so because we know that the show goes by very quickly, we're going to go ahead and get started. And I'm excited. I'm just so excited. We normally start out with scripture, but what I want to start out with today is 3 words: omnipresent, omnipotent, and omniscient, right? So omnipresent means that God is present everywhere at the same time. Omnipotent means that he has unlimited power. He has all power. And omniscient means he knows everything. And so as we talk about these two topics, we may not be aware and know everything, but God is already in control. And so we're not going to really worry about too much, but we're going to be informed so that we can make the best decisions for the greater good of this country. And so that's why we want to talk about it. So remember those words: omnipresent, omnipotent, and omniscient. So just remember those as we engage in this conversation today.
Yes, and before we kick off into our discussion, I want to just say that today I was able to do something that I haven't been able to do in a very long time, and that is go to church.
Oh, yes!
Of course, our son plays soccer on Sundays, and so that usually interrupts our ability to go to church. And so today, my husband and I, we went to Abundant Life Ministries, where the Reverend Dr. John Ellis is the pastor, and his lovely wife, Minister Sonia Ellis, is their church, and they are... they a couple years ago started their church. I met them at the church that we belong to, which is Mount Zion down in Triangle, Virginia. And we went to their church today, and Minister Sonia Ellis gave the word. And it's so funny how whenever you go to church, it's always as if they're talking directly to you.
Exactly.
They somehow seem to know your struggles and seem to know that somebody in the audience is going through something that they need to be passing the word on about. But what I wanted to tell you about the church service this morning is Minister Ellis said one thing that just kind of stuck out in my mind. Well, 2 things, actually. One was rest.
Yes.
Just rest and still. She had us do a 60-second silence, no moving, no touching, no nothing. And, of course, that seemed like a long time, but I don't think we do that enough. And so just kind of stand still and see what God has for us. And then the second thing was, she said, was Number 3 is much better than number 45.
My
And
God.
number 3 is Jesus, the Holy Ghost, and help me out. Wait a minute, hold on. It was
The
the
Father,
Father, Son, and the
Holy
Holy
Ghost.
Ghost. There we go.
Yes.
And so when you
Wow,
think about it that
I like
way,
that.
wasn't that nice?
I like that. That's a nice, succinct way to put that.
That is. And so that's right timely for what we're going to discuss today in terms of voting and politics. Because what I see on Facebook is so many people get riled up every time number 45 does something or says something. And I just wonder if we are going to be as riled up that we are willing to put together a voting drive and take
Yes.
these people to the polls in November as opposed to just going by ourselves and casting our votes. And there are many friends that I have on Facebook, I'm sure, who has chosen not to go to the polls for whatever reasons. I know that some people got sucked in at the presidential election into the whole I'm a vote for the lesser of the two evils business, and that used to burn my soul. And I know that going forward, people are going to say, well, it's not going to matter. And of course, this November election is the most important election in our lives. And if we don't show up at the polls, we get what we get. And I don't want to hear anybody ranting and raving on Facebook about it. If you are not doing your part, then just keep quiet.
And I would like to add to that, and of course, Deirdre, you can chime in. You know, and I think we have to understand what this really is all about. And so whoever supported Trump for whatever reason, it really is about, they're not for what he's for. There's what they vote for him based on what he's against, right?
That's right.
Let me say that again. They vote for him based on what he's against. And what is he against? He is against the political establishment, the media, even the Republican Party, believe it or not.
Right.
He's against change because, and we're going to talk about that in a minute, and he's against the world, it appears, with the exception of China and Russia. So if you just pay attention and synthesize all the information that you're getting and just put it into some themes, you probably will walk away with the same thing. And the bottom line is the immigration issue or fight is really about white people becoming the minorities. And so if you don't get that, you're missing a big part of why we are where we are today. And so they're going to do everything they can to suppress or to rid the minorities or the foreigners or people coming in, immigrants coming in to this country because they don't want to be in a minority. And they've already done the math. They've been tracking this for years. The birth rate in the United States is down. And so you have a lot of immigrants coming to the country. And what ends up happening is the majority will no longer be the majority. And I don't know what you would like to say about that, Dee, but that's just the truth about it.
I'm sorry, before you speak, Dee, let me just say this.
Yes.
Did we already mention that Dee is a veteran?
Oh, yeah. We got so
Hey,
excited.
come
oh,
on.
my goodness.
Look, we
And
jump right
Deirdre-
into that. We got to say it.
Yeah, so Deirdre, introduce yourself.
Let's do that.
Well, my name is Deirdre Windsor. I am a 22-year Army veteran. I worked in the government for about 6 years. I was a senior executive at the Department of Justice, leaving right as the election happened. And I own my own business currently, and
Right.
I've been doing that for about almost 2 years now. And so it's very interesting to me right now what's going on in the country.
Yes.
A lot of things are surprising. Like for me as a soldier, even when we had the election, I will tell you that even then I was telling, because people were just in the office, people were just distraught. And I said, at the end of the day, all presidents hire good people and we will be fine. And I will tell you that probably for the last year and a half, and I got to stop saying I'm surprised, because anything goes nowadays. And some of that comes from the fact that as a military person, we serve at the pleasure of the office of the president.
Exactly.
And so
Exactly.
it has always been in me, and it will always be in me, to not make disparaging remarks about any president. But I think it started in the Obama administration when people, I was
Just
very
openly.
I was very surprised at how people openly disrespected Barack Obama, and they do that now with Trump. The difference is that I think that he
Invites it.
He invites it more.
Yes, exactly.
Because obviously there could. I was speaking with a young lady earlier, a friend of mine earlier, and she stated that she felt like the media was a little softer on President Obama because maybe his race. And I said, no, I think what's different now is that everything that happens to you, really how good or bad it is, or how bad it is based on your reaction to it.
Exactly.
And the difference between
Exactly.
Presidents Trump and Obama is that the one thing about President Obama, I think he's a textbook leadership case.
Exactly.
One thing about President Obama, he did what leaders are supposed to do. You know, you can't respond to all that mess because you'll be responding all day. And with social
Exactly.
media now,
Yes.
Lord have mercy, like you really do have to step back. And that's why they have advisors. That's why they have people that keep them, away from that ledge. But I think what we're seeing now is just something so unfamiliar to people, and then I think that when you throw the social media in there, it just gives people a license to say and do whatever they want. But I think that the president adds to it because he responds to this stuff. Like, honestly, as the president of the United States, as the leader of the free world, you can't be responding to people on Twitter about XYZ. That's why we see all of this discord in the nation, because guess what? A bunch of people start thinking, well, I can do that. No, you can't. And Trevor Noah said it best on his show. He said there are a lot of people out here that don't realize that, you will get thrown under the bus by Donald Trump.
No
He
doubt
said,
about it.
Like
Sure.
Donald Trump is the bus. Like,
No,
so you think it's okay to do and say things
Yes.
because he doesn't say them. He gets away with stuff that most people have never gotten away with, and trust me, when he's gone, they won't get away with it. They're not getting away with it now. That's why you see random people punching people in the face.
Right.
I mean, I don't condone any of those things, but what it is, it's just bringing something out in people, and it's unfortunate because
It is.
because I think that we've gone back. When I see things, I'm telling you, my social media is like a block party.
Exactly.
I block people every day. If I see people in other people's feed
Yes.
that seem like they're being disrespectful, I just block them. One day I looked at my blocked list, and I was like, who are these people? Just some
Exactly.
random person who probably said something racist, sexist, whatever, just something inappropriate that I thought, why would you say that on the internet? Why would you go at another person that you don't know like that?
And so-
but it's just so much of it happening now.
Exactly. And what I really love, if any of you all don't listen to Joe Madison has this term, listen with a third ear.
Right.
Right? Do your homework and listen with a third ear. And I love that.
Yeah.
And that's just where we are, because there's so much information coming to us all the time, 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
But they all have the same thing.
Yeah.
Right? And when you look at, again, his voters, they don't really care. And so stop trying to convince them to care about what you care about. What they believe is that he is doing what America should be about, right? That's what they believe. And so you cannot worry about that. You have to gather your own information and be prepared to go to war, sort of speaks, in terms of your vote, the power of your vote, and doing something in your community and helping others, like Dee said or Sherelle said, about, starting voter registration drives and all of that. Because one of the things I'm very clear about is that, and I hear this all the time, if he loses the 2020, how about that?
Yeah, how about
when
that? Let's claim
he
that
loses
thing.
the 2020 election, the excuses are going to be is that the media with this fake news, right? They're going to say that the Russia investigation impeded his ability to win, and then he's going to blame it on the Republican Party. So they may as well get ready for that, because that's exactly what's going to happen.
Well, what's interesting is I've had a vision that because he thinks he's a dictator, they're gonna have to drag him out that White House kicking and screaming.
They might,
and they might, because
They might.
he really believes that he is God's gift to the United States at this point. And so they're going to have to drag him out kicking and screaming. And so as we're talking about voting, let me tell you what I thought about. I thought about the fact that my grandfather turned 98 on July 9th.
98, yes.
And do you know he was 45 before he could vote for the first time?
Yes.
45 years old
Yeah.
before he had the right as
that's
a black
perspective.
man in this country to vote. Yes, that is
That's
perspective.
perspective.
And my grandmother was 43 before she had the right to vote in this
Exactly.
country. And so when you think about that, many of us are either at that age or above that age. And just imagine, I'm trying to figure out, where did we go wrong and start to convince ourselves that it's okay not to vote? You know, when did we decide that it was okay not to vote? When did we decide that, you know, we don't want to vote for this person because back in the 80s we did this? And the one thing that really just burns my soul is when I see Christians who call themselves Christians on Facebook talking about, I wouldn't vote for this person because back in the 80s they did that. I'm like, where's the forgiveness? And who amongst us haven't done some things that we needed to be forgiven for? And so when we start thinking about our own selfish reasons for not voting for somebody as opposed to looking at the big picture, we hurt everybody.
Exactly. And the Republicans, and even the Republicans, you know, they're to me, it seems like they're playing a game with him. They're trying to get what they want out of him. And once they get what they want out of him, and you see a lot of them are dropping off, they're not going up for re-election because they know something.
Because they all wrapped up in it.
No doubt about it.
They all wrapped up in it, and they trying to get out before it all come out.
Exactly. And so that is just so important, and we just can't believe the hype. We have got to be smarter in terms of our understanding of politics and really stay focused on what matters. And when you hear someone say to you, I'm not voting, you need, and you say why, and they say because it doesn't matter, then ask them this question. If it doesn't matter, why are they doing everything in their power to keep you from voting?
Right.
It matters. And so please, please, please make sure that when people are having a conversation with you, just ask them that question. Well, why do you think it's so important for them to do what they're doing to keep you from voting?
I think people are going to think a little different during this election because
you
saw after the last election, it's not just minority in terms of race that are having problems. What you seen came out as a big issue, the women's issues.
And no doubt.
And you know, when I think about, like, I went to the women's march because it was historic, but one of the things I questioned in going is, you know, I know who I voted for. I voted for the best candidate.
Yeah.
Love or hate the candidate, that was the best candidate as far as I'm concerned, because I don't vote for people because they're popular.
Yes.
I listen even when Hillary Clinton initially was going up against Barack Obama. I mean, when she came out sounding better than Barack Obama and Senator McCain at the time. And you know, over time he got better. But at the time, she was the best candidate. And so what you saw after the election is this big thing about, and now it's a bigger issue. You know why? Because the Supreme Court nominee.
That's exactly right.
And now they're looking at things like Roe v. Wade, and it's impacting women's lives and women's making decisions on their own bodies. So I had to wonder during that march when I saw all of these thousands, millions of women, like, but when you look at the percentages of women who...
And I have those numbers.
Yeah, they're like, when you look at the percentages of non-black women who voted for Donald Trump, but then when you look at the march, and that was a march of predominantly non-black women, you got to ask the question, what were you thinking about before the election?
Right.
But sadly, you even had some women out there saying, well, I wouldn't vote for Hillary because she was a woman. Like,
well, exactly. And the
people just
numbers
had crazy reasons why every politician. There's no perfect politician.
Right.
There are no perfect politicians. What I want the person to be in there who understands what we're about as a nation,
right,
and who is going to make it better for us. And if at the time you got two candidates, you don't like either one, you got to vote for one. You can't just say,
you can't say I'm not going to vote, or I'm going to vote for the people that are not going to win. That's not going to get the party nomination.
I also question those people. You have the folks like the Sean Kings and the Mark Lamont Hills and all of these bubbas who, even after the primary, were still on this Bernie Sanders time at bandwagon,
exactly.
if you will.
Exactly.
And so even now they're still talking about Bernie. I'm like, can we
really?
Can we agree to move on?
But we as a country, the citizens of the United States, we just have to get smarter. Yeah. And you know, we cannot.
And we need a smart president.
And no doubt about that. And we can't allow social media, you know, the sound bites and a little bit of information that's coming out to help us to make our decisions. We have to do our own research.
And people don't read. We
got to do our own research.
You get irritated on
even
social media.
And even for me preparing for the show today. One of the things I didn't realize, and it just makes sense, when I started looking at the exit poll data from the 2016 election, there was something very just startling to me, and it just makes sense. So when you look at the number of females who voted for President Trump, you had 52% of the females that voted voted for him. But guess what? Those women, that 52%, were 65 years old and older. Come on, let me bring it back to you. Black women that voted during the election, 91%, 65 years and older, voted for Clinton, and 9% voted for Trump. So, and then when you look at it in its totality, you see even whites in general, 58% voted for Trump, and all of them collectively was 65 plus. So it goes back to what you were saying. Think about the age, and the lower the age, the less votes he got. And so, but people still voted for him, and that was all about that electoral college. And so,
which we need to get rid of.
Exactly.
Period, point blank. That needs to go away.
And even women, white women, ages 37% of them, of course, I already talked about that. So those things are so very important to think about. And the younger, the voter, the less they voted for him. And so and what really just startled me, and I would love to have a conversation, a deeper conversation with black men, just would. And we know that 82% of the black men voted for Clinton, but we still had 13% that voted for Trump. And actually, I remember being at homecoming in 2016, right before the elections, and I was talking to a friend of mine, and we were talking about politics. I was telling him, I was an elections judge, and he said, I'm going to say this to you because I feel comfortable. He said, and he's from New York. He said, I'm going to vote for Trump. And I had the strangest look on my face. I didn't want to, discourage him for talking to me, but I was looking at him like, well, how is that even possible? And he said, well, he gave his reason, and then when I saw him this past homecoming, he said, you were right. He said, that was the biggest mistake I made in my life. And it was nothing that he could say to make me understand. And so as what this election cycle has done for me, this whole presidency, is made me listen, be a little more open to listen to people's perspective, but trust and believe some of this stuff I just can't even digest because it doesn't make any sense to me because of just how I think about, doing the greater good for the greatest number, right?
I
And
tell you
those
what,
people that need it.
This whole election cycle has gotten more people involved in the conversation, which is what we need to begin with.
Exactly.
We need people involved in the conversation and to really start to think about, what does it mean? Let's remove the person, the man from the job.
Exactly.
Let's remove him from the equation.
Right.
This could be anybody.
Exactly.
We need to start thinking about, what do we want for our country? On the one hand, I hear Republicans saying, no, don't take my gun from me. They don't care how many kids get shot up. They got a Second Amendment right to have a gun. Yet they want to take our ability away from us as women to make choices about our bodies. Exactly. And so to me, that's a double standard. So go ahead.
Let me tell you what the bigger issue is. It's all about cheap labor.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
You got to follow the money.
And the 13th Amendment being alive and well. And when you go to places like Louisiana and you clearly understand that Louisiana has the most incarcerated black males. And guess what? They're the ones out there building the levees. They're doing the cheap labor. And so our black males are caught up in this system, and that's just another power base to remove from our communities to destroy our communities. And so it is so calculating. It just is. It's calculating. It's systemic, and they want the Supreme Court so that they can put judges on the bench, and so that the judges can do what? Put our people in jail.
Okay, but let you know what, and this is going to be a whole nother conversation, and maybe we'll follow up next week with this conversation, but we will be doing a injustice if we don't start talking about this black on black crime. We don't start talking about people taking responsibility for their actions.
Exactly.
Because yes, are they killing our unarmed black folk? Yes, absolutely. Are they locking up people because they were doing absolutely nothing? They jaywalked? Absolutely. But let's talk about we're going to have the conversation about how all of this other stuff that we're doing is self-inflicted.
A lot of it is.
A lot of it is self-inflicted.
Because it's a mindset.
And
you
it
know,
is a
it's
mindset.
A lack of hope. And you opened up by saying, you know, you went to church today. So you already made a decision that you have a relationship with God.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
I can almost guarantee you that is non-existent.
Oh,
in
absolutely.
a lot of these places where people don't believe. They don't have, so therefore they don't have any hope. And you know, when you believe in something higher than yourself, it allows you to look out of the lenses, you know, a different set of lenses when in your circumstances, and not succumb to it, but rise above it, because you know there's a source higher than you. You don't even want to get me talking about that, and I'm just very serious. And
we're gonna talk about that next week.
Yes,
that's our topic next week.
Yes, and so you know what concerns me is that this 45 just doesn't seem to have any limits. You know, most people that got behavior. You know, they have some limits on what they will say and what they would do. You know, you'll check yourself like, ooh, you know, every now and again. But he just has no limits. And so when you have no limits, you know, you don't know what this man is thinking, what he's going to do, what's really happening underneath it all. And it's putting.
The sad thing is he has, even with a staff.
Exactly.
Even with good people around, because you can't say everybody around. I mean, he doesn't listen.
Exactly.
And that's problematic. And that's how presidents survive. Presidents survive because they bring in good people.
Yes.
They bring in smart people. You don't need to be the expert in the room.
Yeah.
Right.
But I think with him, and I think that his staff probably is most of the time scratching
Probably
their
pulling
head.
their hair out.
my
Like,
goodness.
what in the world am I supposed to do?
Yes.
with
Look, we
this?
saw the
I mean,
reaction of the director of what's his name, Coates,
FBI?
Dan Coates.
Yeah.
We saw his reaction, so we already know he's not listening to him. In terms of scheduling another, closed. It's probably gonna be closed door session with Putin.
Right.
We already know that he's not listening to anybody around him, including Ivanka.
And then because they know, you mean Melania?
No, Ivanka.
Okay. Oh, his
the
daughter.
real
Okay.
first lady.
Oh, okay. All right.
That's a whole nother topic.
Was that some shade? I don't know.
That's the real first lady.
She said, "Is that some shit?"
No, that's the truth.
And because information is coming at us so quickly, you know, they can spin it and get us off track. Right. And so some of the things that's out there that we just have to be very cognizant of, and most of us are, is about him diverting our attention to the NFL.
Right.
That has nothing to do with anything other than some American citizens standing up for what they believe and doing peaceful protests, right, against something. And so
I think after his showing in Russia, though, people are like, miss me with the NFL stuff.
Exactly.
At this
Right.
point.
Exactly.
People are like, if you have a problem with NFL players taking a knee to fight for injustice, but you didn't have a problem with that performance in Russia, then we really have a problem.
Exactly. And so you know, speaking of that, Time Magazine has that cover on it that morphed Putin and Trump together. And so what do you all think that means?
Hey.
I don't know, but what do you think it means?
It's troubling.
It's extremely
other than
troubling.
troubling.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna say, I applaud the NFL's Players Union for standing up against this foolishness and saying, "Wait a minute, slow down, Slim. We're not getting ready to invoke none of this stuff."
I think the performance in Russia
Yes.
is making people start thinking about, listen, we're doing all these things, trying to fall in line, but we don't even have a person who is willing to stand up for America. Again, forget who's there, forget about race, forget about all those things. You represent this country, and if you go somewhere else and you dispute what your whole intelligence
community
team says, that's problematic. So people are starting to look and say, you know what, we're getting ready to lose. I mean, they're going to lose money anyway, the NFL. But they're going to lose the support of their players with this policy, because that policy was very damning for the
and that's
NFL
why they
leadership.
suspended it.
And they suspended
they understood.
it. But I think
dollars
people are
talk.
seeing now, like, you know what? We can't. How are we? It's acquiescing to whatever you say, but you're not actually leading
acquiescing
this
to what
country.
you say.
Exactly.
And as you all know, we are on a roll, and this is a hot conversation. Please call in if you have something you would like to add, or type us a message in our Facebook feed, and the number is 833-202-8255.
Let's. I'm gonna pick up on something that somebody posted on Facebook
Good.
Live talking about impeaching Trump.
Okay.
I have said this once, and I'm going to say this a million times. Be careful what you ask for, because Mike Pence is not a better solution
Amen.
for us.
Amen.
And if we impeach Trump, we got Mike Pence.
Right.
And the Republicans will support everything that he wants to do. The only benefit that some of us might get from President Trump being in the White House is being a part of that stock market. And if you don't have your money in that stock market, you can't benefit from him being in the White House. That's the only thing I see. But
I don't know how long that's going to last. I
Hey,
don't know how you
right.
feel, D. Because
and nothing lasts forever.
But the
No-
economists are saying right now we're on the brink.
Yeah,
We're
we are on the brink.
Yes.
We are on the brink.
We're
But
on the brink.
I think how the tariffs fall out.
Yeah, exactly.
will
That
truly,
tariff,
because
exactly.
right now China is threatening to
Yes.
retaliate, and I think that
China's serving it up.
Yeah, they are.
They
Exactly.
serving it
They're
up.
serving it
So
up.
I do think that right now, I mean, we thought we were having some problems, but I do think that the tariffs will be the true tale of the tape.
Exactly.
At the end of the day.
Exactly. And I think he's going to change some of his his decisions.
Yeah.
And so
So let me just finish my thought.
Okay.
So let's not talk about impeaching him. Let's make him a lame duck president come November. That's what we need to do.
let's put so much pressure on him that he say I quit.
No. No, because then we still got Mike Pence. Let's go to the polls in November and make him a
vote
lame
somebody
duck
else
president
in.
for the next 2 years. So
Yeah.
he cannot pass anything major. He cannot do anything without coming through
We
the
need the
majority
House.
House and the majority Senate that
Exactly.
represents the Democratic Party. That's what we need to do. Forget impeaching him. He can stay there for the next 2 years. We can endure the foolishness if we control the House and the Senate. So let's get out there and vote.
And I don't even know about the Democrats, but they are our only, our best hope at this point.
They really are.
Because I'm thinking that all of them are kind of blended now. Because I don't know where, at least where the Republicans stand.
Right.
I'm just not so sure, but we cannot vote for them. I'm going
Right.
to tell you that right now.
That's
And you can
exactly
say
right.
what you want to say because of the policies. And people are like, well, I got more money in my check. So if $40, $20 in your check means the world to you, I'm not gonna bash you because I don't know people's situations. But it's just something wrong with that. That we continue to be one issue voters. We're looking at an extra $20 that which made your taxable income go up. And so when it's time for taxes, you're gonna be paying more money anyway. So that's a whole different conversation.
Oh, absolutely.
And so what I'm saying is we really have to vote in terms of what we really believe is for the best of this country. Because one of the things that when I was doing my research for this topic that I heard, and I did do my research, so let me preface this. I did my research, and I could not find any source that confirmed this, but it's out there. There was a report that came out on Friday, if I'm not mistaken, that when President Obama visited South Africa for Nelson Mandela's 100 commemoration, it was stated that Trump's administration ordered that President Obama not be given any assistance other than the security arrangement that he had made with his private company from the American embassy in South Africa. And so there was a report over in South Africa that this came out, and so it's now trickling over here. And I think it's been out for a while, but of course our news outlet is probably not going to pick up on that. And I'm going to tell you something. If that is the case, that's unimaginable. This is a former president of the United States. I don't know if it's true, but the fact that it's out there, it's problematic. We have a former president who brought us out the brinks of hell when you really think about it. For another president to say we're not going to give him that support, it's something is wrong. Something is truly wrong, and that thing upset me. So I did research it, and I just could not find a source that would say for sure that they confirmed that.
And let's talk about that $40
Yeah.
that you're getting in your check. Because here's the truth of the matter. You getting $40 now, but I promise you later, you're going to pay 3 times that amount to help us deal with this deficit that we're going to be
We're
in.
about to go
And
into
so
one.
while
But you're
you
going to
may
pay more when
already-
they put those tariffs on.
Oh,
Exactly.
yeah,
Once we
absolutely.
place tariffs, they're
Yeah,
going to retaliate.
that's right.
And so most of the stuff we see is made where? In
Yeah,
China. So
that's right.
we're going to see, trust
We're
me,
at the losing
We're
end.
going to feel it in our pocketbook. So your
Paying
your
more.
check might be slightly higher, but at the end of the day, you really do have to analyze, hey, really, how is this impacting me?
Right,
You know?
exactly.
And of course, if you want to call in and join the conversation, I see a lot of comments. The number is 833-202-8255. And finally, before we go into our first break, Reverend, I know you all have heard, Reverend Al Sharpton was called by Michael Cohen, who was Trump's attorney, for a meeting on Friday. And so it's all over social media. And if you listen to his radio show, he talked about it. And the reason that that Cohen called Al Sharpton was because I didn't realize this, that back in the day when Al Sharpton was going up against Trump for some of the racist things that he was saying and doing, Cohen served as the conduit between the two of them, which is very interesting. And so he must have, garnered some level of respect for Al Sharpton. I don't know, because you can't trust everything that people are doing. But what he supposedly told Al Sharpton was that he was going to do what was right for the country and do what was right for his family. And I can believe that was said, because at the end of the day, when you are so loyal to someone and you find out that they're just going to, like you said, throw you under the bus, then, you may start talking, because I'm not going to jail for you. I'm just telling you.
He don't throw you under the bus.
Oh, well,
he
yeah.
rolled the
That's
bus
true.
over you and back it up
Yes.
and roll you over again.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then wonder why you're not loyal to him.
Exactly. So
But what's interesting about Donald Trump is that most people won't run for office if they know they have one skeleton in their closet. Like, he's so confident, and it doesn't even matter, and probably because he feels like I can fool them, because he's even said it himself. He said many times during the election, I can go out and kill someone in New York City, which is sad for our nation.
Right.
He said, I could go out and kill somebody and my people will still follow me, which is unfortunate. I'll tell you that I'm still a little shocked. Like, when he came in office, because I grew up in the military and because I've always had the mantra that we serve at the pleasure of the president, that it didn't matter who the president was. I said, it's going to be all right. He's going to get the right stuff. He's going to do and say the right things. But every day is something new. And it's like, when does it stop? And then it's like he goads people into arguments, and then he gets upset when people retaliate.
Right.
But you made this behavior okay.
Right.
My favorite saying: if you're gonna be a jerk, own it. Don't be a jerk. Don't be a jerk, and then wonder why people treat you like a jerk. Own that, and the consequences that come with that. So if you're out here throwing shade and doing all of this other stuff, I mean, look at what's going on with people. Look at how people are losing. CEOs out here speaking about, different things that they shouldn't speak about, but thinking it's okay because the president does this.
And they're getting
stocks
Papa
tanking.
John.
And they see consequences,
stocks
though.
tanking.
Exactly.
People
Papa
losing
John.
jobs.
Exactly.
Whole sets of people.
Roseanne Barr.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, a whole lot of people.
Look,
So don't think it can't happen to you.
Exactly. And that's why I'm still very careful,
Yes,
about
you
the
have
things
to
I
be.
say, because at the end of the day, I have employees. Guess what? I don't want my employees losing their job because of what I say.
Exactly.
This guy, it's like he doesn't realize when you speak, you are the president of the United States, and that means something.
It does.
And when you talk, you need to understand your words have consequences.
They do.
have actions. Your words
All
move,
of our words.
They move markets. His
Yes,
words move
move
markets.
markets.
Oh,
Right.
absolutely.
He
His
don't care about
words
the
move
world.
Markets.
And so he has to understand that you just can't, like, honestly, as
He's not
the
gonna
leader of the
understand
free
it.
world, you can't incite. You have to galvanize. You have to understand
Yes.
that it's like playing pool.
It is.
It's like it's this shot, the next shot, and then leave.
Exactly.
If I say this is the consequence. But if I say this and add this, then I can leave it over here. But he doesn't even think that much when he's talking, which is problematic. So
And
Okay, so it's funny you say that his words move markets, because I check the market every day, like 3 and 4 times a day. And as soon as I check it and I see all red, I say, "Oh Lord, what did he say?" And I go straight to the news to read about it.
exactly.
and that's what you have to realize. That's why you never saw with President Obama, President Clinton, President Bush. I'll never forget after 9/11. I just one of my favorite President Bush lines when somebody said, "Hey, some of the the terrorists, their visa still made it through the system. This was after 9/11, and he said, "You better believe I was plenty hot." He was probably like, "I was pissed off," and somebody, but he contained that.
Yeah, he
was
did. He
so
contained
angry.
it.
He contained that. And
Exactly.
that's what, as a leader, you have to always be thinking that, man, if I say, I mean, you can in your head say, man, I will punch this dude in the throat, but you can't say it out loud.
Exactly, exactly.
You just gotta be like, okay.
But you know what's
Hey,
interesting?
hey, President Bush sitting back like this.
Yeah, exactly.
And y'all thought I was
Help
the
my
worst one.
legacy. Help my
Yeah, he
legacy.
like, I'm looking real good right now. I bet you they would vote for me if they could right now.
I like GW.
Yeah, but back to what you just said. I don't know if you all saw what happened on The View with
I saw it.
Janine Pirro. And to make a long story short, after the show, I think she was so upset that when she walked away, and I can't even say the word on air, but she called them some names. And guess who she made a mistake and said that to?
Whoopi
Goldberg.
Because she ain't
Whoopi
no
Goldberg
punk.
was like, "Oh no, that you're not gonna do that.
Right.
You know, we can have opposing views. You can come on the show, but what you're not gonna do is come on my show and talk to me like that.
Right.
That's
You gotta
right.
be kidding me."
Right.
And so, of course, she went on her show, from what I understand,
she
on
did.
Fox on Saturday, and tried to make it look like The View and the host and everybody was just so mean to her,
Just mistreated her.
And-
She ain't do
and-
nothing. And it was funny because I watched it and they asked her specifically, so you didn't do nothing?
Exactly.
Right.
That's what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking
Exactly.
about. It goes back to, you're out here talking and you're spouting off. Be prepared for what comes with that. You don't get, and now social media, they will eat you alive on social media.
But it's who's watching Fox
Yeah.
and what the word she used, and this is cold. She said that her exchange with Whoopi Goldberg was out of control. Because this anger on the left side. And I'm thinking to myself, so that's your code for talking about, black women, angry black women? No, you got your butt handed to you because you spoke out of turn.
Right,
And
that's
you said
right.
it to the wrong person.
And you put
Like
your
said,
finger in her face.
And you put your finger in
And
her
you
face.
put your
Exactly.
finger.
And
You
so-
lucky she didn't
Problem.
take you down to the floor.
Exactly.
So you can count your blessings on that one, Judge.
Exactly. And so now you're pandering to this base.
Exactly.
And trying to make it seem like,
Like you so innocent.
Exactly.
And you didn't do anything.
Exactly.
It just came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And as far as I know, Whoopi was the only one that stood up, and I could see myself standing up for myself. Who do you? I mean,
Okay, so Whoopi said she was standing. She said the judge could have walked past her.
Exactly.
And kept on about her business, but she stopped and pointed her finger in her face and said, "I have done more for victims of domestic abuse than you will ever do." And that's when it went down. So don't bring it up if you ain't ready for it to go down.
Hey.
Yeah.
I think my girlfriend Walita was like, what you say, Walita? Don't bring it to me if you. Oh, I didn't call for you. Don't
Don't come for me unless I send for you.
Unless I send for
That's
you.
right.
Like Janet Jackson says, let me tell you how to come for me. Don't. Don't.
Yes.
Just
and
keep
yes.
moving. Yeah.
Okay,
And-
so go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Because I was just gonna switch the topic right quick because I'm gonna tell you I don't know who in the world are out here making these memes.
Oh my goodness, the memes are incredible.
Let me just tell you, whoever you are, if you are paying attention to this show, I need you to go out there and make you some real money.
Yes.
Because you are quick-witted, you are gifted with that computer, and you are hilarious. Because some of these memes that I'm
memes,
seeing with
I'm so embarrassed. I won't even
45
share them.
and Putin,
Yeah, I won't.
I won't share them, but I sure laugh at
Yes.
them. I laugh real hard at them.
Yes. And so any of our listening audience, again, please call into the show if you have a comment or if you would like to for us to address one of your questions. The number is 833-202-8255. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we will continue with the conversation. This is awesome.
Thank
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
We're on break.
All right, maybe we're not. Let's just keep rolling.
Oh, he's
Okay.
That was funny.
Welcome to Sisters in Company Talking About It live show. Hosted by me, Dr. Sharon Cradle, and Sherelle Higgins. We will be discussing intriguing, intricate, inspirational, informative, and intelligent topics with our individual twists and talents.
We will present real stories, real solutions, and engage in real talk.
So we invite you to be our company every Sunday afternoon at 3 o'clock p.m. as we focus on transcendent thinking that will move you forward. You become the company you keep.
What company do you keep? Oh yeah, we are biological sisters by way of the south side of Chicago. So get ready to keep company with us and our guests as we talk about it.
Yes, welcome back. Thank you for sticking around for the last 10 minutes, actually, of the show. The show just goes by so quickly, and we are really having a great show. And if you would like to call in, 833-202-8255. And so we're going to finish up with talking a little bit about his wife, Melania. Now, I don't know anything about the lady other than she came over here from another country. That's a whole nother conversation.
Immigrant,
And she married.
flashing lights, immigrant. flashing
But
light,
you know what?
but that's different.
But,
I don't
but
know.
that's what I'm talking about.
I don't know if it's different.
It is
It's
for
not,
him.
It's not.
It is
I
for
think
him.
what you're saying
Yeah.
hits right to the point we made earlier. If you're pushing this immigration, don't cross the border. But herein lies the problem.
Right.
Your first, second, well, actually, it was the first and the third wives. Well,
Immigrants.
you know.
Exactly.
Here on some type of visa, I'm sure.
Right.
Yes.
And so,
yes.
so this is the same thing.
And some of them
We
taking
start
their
talking
clothes
about
off.
The dreamers and things, those folks, they're here doing the same
Yes.
thing, trying to make a better
Yes.
way. So don't discount them
Right.
when in fact you're living the same thing, and we can see it. We're not blind. We can.
But
see
it's the
same
color of
thing.
the skin.
Yeah.
Don't get it twisted.
Yeah.
Because
It's
you
the
know if
color of the
Michelle
skin.
Obama had just had on a halter top somewhere,
Yes.
less on all of her
Oh,
clothes
just her
off.
arms out.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, but just her arms was a big old thing. So imagine
Right.
if she had taken her clothes off and there was a picture of
My
that
goodness.
floating around on the internet.
Right.
My goodness. And so the only reason I brought her up is because there's, of course, she has a double. And
Do you believe that?
I do.
Oh.
I truly
look,
do.
if I was her, I would.
do. I you can see it. That
I won't
last
lie- I
one.
won't lie,
That
she
last
gives-
one looked like she was Asian. She looked more Asian.
But she
than
gives me
anything.
life sometimes.
No, which one?
Melania.
Oh, yeah, she
'cause
gives you life.
Melania is the queen of shade when it comes.
When it comes to him. Yeah,
when it comes to
exactly.
Lord have mercy. Some days I'm like, Melania is all of us.
Yes.
Melania don't want no parts of him. She cannot wait for him to get out the White House. I guarantee you she walking on him real quick. He probably won't be out the White House 12 hours before she filed for a divorce.
Exactly. And exactly. They may already be, and so anyway.
No, they not, because that would be out in the media.
So, even her, the double and just how she represents. But, to be very honest with you, I just don't feel sorry. I'm sorry. I don't.
Oh, I don't feel sorry
I
for
just
her.
don't feel sorry. I'm like, she just like
You
us.
lay down with dogs, you get up with fleas.
And we, those are the consequences. And we just have to do our part. And I know Sherelle brought up earlier about Christians, and of course, our a Christian base, a certain Christian base called the evangelicals. They want to act like this is okay,
Right.
because they're white and they're getting what they think this
Deserve.
country needs to stay in power. And so that is why we have to just truly understand it. And it's not about anything else. God got this, and we. But we have to do our part. We just can't sit back. It's like, prayer without works, is dead, And so if you don't have action and you're not standing up and doing what you're supposed to do, it is problematic. And one of the things, I just don't know how people can just overlook so much. It's certain things that we overlook from people because it is what it is. But when you're constantly bombarded with the type of behavior and the type of words this man says out of his mouth,
And the tweets.
And I am actually I'm an adjunct professor. I'm a human resources professional, and I'm dealing with people right now that just feel like they can just say and do anything they
Right,
want. And I'm trying to, particularly my students, I'm trying to explain to them, no,
Right.
this is an anomaly.
Yeah.
Trust
and
me.
it goes back to what we said earlier. People are losing their
Yes.
livelihoods are
Yes,
being impacted
exactly.
because they think things that have never been okay are okay. And
Right.
so what you got? They're all grown though. You know, people should know better.
And I was reading when I did the research, you know, I recall, and I looked it up just to see if it was factual, that he said, I love the poorly educated. So what does that mean? You know, I don't know what that means, but it just doesn't sound right. I can make an interpretation, but
It means that he think they stupid and he can tell them anything.
Exactly, and maybe that's what that means for him. But one of the things I'm very clear about, and I say this as I train human resource professionals, I'm not trying to figure out what you meant to say.
Right.
When you say it,
Is what you meant.
when
Own
I
it.
receive it,
Own it.
Say what you
I
mean and mean
believe
what you
what you said.
Yes.
And own it, because it is what it is.
Absolutely.
And then, you know, and the more I started researching, I was like, I can't research this dude anymore. I just can't.
Yeah.
Because one of the things he said that he regretted was never have ever dated Princess Diana. Like, wow. Is that your only regret in
What's
life?
funny to me is
Is
that's
that
an assumption that she wanted to date you.
Exactly. And so I just couldn't do it anymore. You know, I got enough content for the show. I tried, and I'm trying to just understand and just listen a little bit more. But some things I'm just not going to put in my spirit. And
I'll listen more, but I'm not trying to understand it, because the minute I start understanding it,
I don't
that's
even
when I
want it in
become
my
part of the
spirit.
problem.
I don't want it in my spirit, because you know, this stuff is carrying, you know, we're carrying this around. And so we have to learn to be proactive and control our own minds and do our homework. And if you don't understand, I mean, information is abundant. It is
That's right.
abundant. You know, and you just have to try to go to some credible sources or look at different sources so you can come up with that common thing.
And you can arrive at your own conclusion.
Yeah. Exactly.
And not just be reposting what somebody else
Exactly.
did just because you look
It
like
sound
it
right.
sound right.
And I saw that recently. That's one of the things I thought, and I see it on both sides.
Yeah.
I see it on both sides
Exactly.
of the aisle.
Yeah, absolutely.
People post stuff, and you're like, I'll go and research myself and say, well, now why would they repost that? That's not even true.
Right.
Even for him, like sometimes I'm like, well, now he didn't say that. This is really what happened. This is the other side of it. You know, I think about when everything happened down there at the border. You know, somebody because I posted, hey, this is what's happening. They're going to release them. Somebody said, well, thanks for pointing out that it wasn't our president who came up with that policy. I was like, okay, that's a fair point. However, he is the one. He is the one who came out with the memo in April, said that we're going to vigorously enforce it.
Exactly.
So it's a policy that was there. However, but keep in mind, if that one person said that to me, how many other people are saying, well, it wasn't his policy? No. You need to understand that it was not. The policy was already there. However, he, in April, put out another policy that said we're going to vigorously enforce this, which meant more of the detainee parents were getting arrested. And because of the policy of the kids can't be alone for more than 20 days, then they were moving the kids after the 20 days. And so, but people aren't reading. They're just posting whatever. And the problem is, it's so divided right now. One can't even say, well, fair point. Like I never hear on the internet, fair point.
Right.
You're right.
No.
Nobody says that anymore.
No, because everybody want to be right.
Everybody wants
to be right.
And everybody's just posting. When they see stuff, they post it.
Exactly.
And I try to stay away from that.
Yes, exactly.
You will rarely see me post anything political on my social media sites because it can just get out of hand. And you know, I try to conduct myself a certain way on social media, and I don't want to have to start cursing people out on social media. So I just try to stay away from that because I know the inner South Side Sherelle will come out, and then next thing you know, it'll be. Then I have to block somebody.
But
So I just try to stay
I
away
do block
from it.
people. And you know what? I don't feel bad. You know why? Because I'm like, you know what? I don't even want to curse this dude out. Like, I'm like, this person, like, this is what you believe. Block. It's a block party around here. Bye.
Yes.
Because and I'm telling you, it could be on your feed. And I could just be reading it. Because some stuff I don't like because I don't want somebody to see later. Oh, she liked that. Because there's a whole bunch of stuff that's just funny.
Right.
You shouldn't be liking on social media. You just laugh in your bedroom.
Yeah.
But some of the stuff, I'm like, you really? That's where we, okay.
But you know, we are resilient people.
Oh, absolutely.
And the president works for us, and that's
Yeah.
the only thing I really
Yeah.
want to
Yeah,
leave
at the
with.
end of the day.
He cannot do anything that he wants. He doesn't
Yeah.
have that kind of power.
Exactly.
We give him that power.
Yeah.
And so he works for us. We voted. People, not the majority of the people voted for him, but because of our election process.
Hillary, let's say this. Hillary received 3 million more votes
yes.
than he did. 3 million more. So that meant that the population of people wanted Hillary Clinton to be the president. We have to get rid of this electoral college. It does not work in our favor.
Well, we need to go out and vote.
Yeah.
And making
Yeah,
sure
because
that we understand it,
there's a
because
list of problems. People
exactly,
not
it's a
voting.
lot of problems.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. People
But we
not
can
voting,
get rid of that
people not-
electoral college after November 18. Let's do it, y'all.
But look, we're out of time already. This has been so wonderful. We really appreciate our guest co-host sitting in with us. The
Yes.
conversation has been wonderful. And I'm going to end with this. God is about love.
Yes.
We are about love. And the reason that we've made it through this world as black people is from love and God's love. And that's the bottom line. So we have got to continue to operate in that manner. So
Yes.
thank you all so much for joining us today.
This conversation got me sweating.
Yeah, we will be back next week.
I was gonna
Have
say,
a good
can you fan me a
evening.
little bit?
Thank you.
All right.
Take care. Have a
Bye.
good evening.
Welcome to Sisters in Company Talking About It live show. Hosted by me, Dr. Sharon Cradle, and Sherelle Higgins. We will be discussing intriguing, intricate, inspirational, informative, and intelligent topics with our individual twists and talents.
We will present real stories, real solutions, and engage in real talk.
So we invite you to be our company every Sunday afternoon at 3:00 p.m. as we focus on transcendent thinking that will move you forward. You become the company you keep.
What company do you keep? Oh yeah, we are biological sisters by way of the south side of Chicago. So get ready to keep company with us and our guests as we talk about it.
Welcome to Sisters in Company Talking About It live show. Hosted by me, Dr. Sharon Cradle, and Sherelle Higgins. We will be discussing intriguing, intricate, inspirational, informative, and intelligent topics with our individual twists and talents.
We will present real stories, real solutions, and engage in real talk.
So we invite you to be our company every Sunday afternoon at 3:00 p.m. as we focus on transcendent thinking that will move you forward. You become the company you keep.
What company do you keep? Oh yeah, we are biological sisters by way of the south side of Chicago. So get ready to keep company with us and our guests as we talk about it.